April the 13th, 2024. The parking lot of the local cinema. To my darling wife, Martha, as I compose this message to you, my eyes strain to adjust to the bright and blinding sunlight outside of the picture show. Martha, has it really been 8 long years already since the last Civil War? The mind boggles to fathom it. I feel I was such a younger man then, full of hopes for the future, hopes that are now dashed. And Martha, though you may have heard these rumors already, it pains me dearly to be the one to confirm their truth to you. Indeed, there is another Civil War. This Civil War was brought to us by British filmmaker Alex Garland, known for such excellent stories as Ex Machina and Dread. You see, Mr. Garland asks us to imagine a world in which a fascist president has come to power in Washington. He's begun a 3rd term, unprecedented since the days of FDR. He's disbanded the FBI, or the Fibby, as nobody but myself is prone to calling it. And in the wake of these unspeakable changes, a new secessionist movement has come to pass. The Old South has risen again as the Florida Alliance. The western states, or really the northwestern states, also hold themselves to be a separate and sovereign nation. Perhaps strangest of all, California and Tejas have joined together in some strange and unholy union. Oh, Martha, I know it pains you to hear these things, but you must have seen the signs as I have these past few years, the turmoil and the tension in our country. Think on it, Martha, the things I've seen. Oh, such things I've seen. The people, Martha, they're upset. Angry enough to take to the streets and even make signs, Martha, signs! If you can believe it. Oh, surely some of these signs are upheld for the noblest of causes. Some true patriots thinking only of the troubles of their fellow man. Yet others descend into what I can only describe as obscene depravity and vulgarity. The people are tired, Martha. So very tired. Martha, I've included this footage from the front lines, smuggled at dearest risk to my own safety, that you and those at home might the trials and tribulations of this new Civil War.
You don't know what side they're fighting for.
Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
Oh, hold our precious babies tight, Martha, and pray. Pray for those of us in the theater seats and in the drive-ins. Pray for those of us streaming this film in their very homes. Martha, before I give you my final thoughts on this film, know that if the worst should come to pass, if some internet trolls should eviscerate me in flames for my review, know that it was worth the risk. Know that every night I've stared longingly at your photograph and prayed that we might be reunited in this life or the next, Martha. And now, Martha, my report on what I've witnessed in this Civil War. Quite frankly, my dear, it left me cold, for this is not the sort of film that one enjoys, but the sort that one appreciates. For although the events of this story are truly disturbing, my dear, they are portrayed through the eye of journalists, people with the eye of a photographer or a wordsmith, people with an eye for beauty. In fact, in a very real sense, this film is not about a civil war at all. Rather, the Civil War is the setting in which we follow the story of a dystopian road trip. We watch as 4 journalists make their way across the country to war-torn and besieged Washington, D.C. First we have Lee, an accomplished photojournalist who is known for her steely nerve. Lee is her companion Joel, something of an adrenaline junkie and aspiring coxman. Her elderly mentor Sammy, something of a father figure and voice of caution, accompanies them as well. Rounding out our journalistic quartet is young Jesse, an aspiring photojournalist who longs to be just like Lee, her hero. I implore you, Martha, do not become too attached to all of these characters, as this is not a happy tale. I wonder, Martha, what is this Civil War about? Who started it, and what are the sides? What are the politics? Well, frankly, my dear, it's not about that. Because this story is not about a war or about politics, but about human beings. Really, isn't it human beings who fight a war in the first place? Wars, after all, my dear, are not fought by politics and ideologies, but by human beings who find themselves fighting not for a cause at the end of the day, but for the man and woman beside them. And that, my dear, is what this film does so very well. Portrays the tribulations and the torment of the human beings caught in such a war. Whether they be soldier, civilian, or journalist, all suffer in a true war. The truly exceptional thing about the storytelling of this movie is the way it takes on the perspective of a photojournalist's eye. It manages to capture moments of sublime beauty or truly stark, disturbing horror. How, in fact, at moments, the two are not so separate and distinct. Admit that I found the soundtrack on occasion jarring and somewhat unusual, and the effects very rarely but occasionally did let me down. I can hear you asking, Martha, how did this civil war start? What are the politics and the sides? What is the director trying to say? Whose side is he on anyway? Well, he doesn't take sides, Martha, rather intentionally. I can assure you, Martha, that no overt sides were taken. In fact, you may have heard that Nick Offerman's fascist president was modeled after one or another political figure, and I can see how an individual with their unique biases could project those conclusions on his character, but I assure you, Martha, it was based neither on Mr. Trump nor Mr. Biden, as Offerman's cowardly and fumbling president is at least able to string together 4 or 5 coherent sentences in a row. But all, Martha, this film moved me, not in a pleasant direction. I found myself tense and uncomfortable throughout the film, but it moved me. It was quite powerful. I give it a rating on my personal scale of 8.4. Placing it firmly in category 8. Impressive. Most impressive.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.